Okay, it's showtime. So, hi everybody, this is Michel Labrèche, directly from my home. I'm doing those videos about consciousness in the midst of my program, which I have to diffuse the information and of the Wizard of Oz 2, or the Sole Purpose. Now, the book has been out in French for a while, maybe 2 years, but I was not able to make a proper marketing of that. And basically, since my health condition was very fragile, I was stuck and confined to be at my home. Now I'm much more better, and since I have a inner force that helps me to grow and to go upon whatever my outside experience make me suffer. Basically, I think we're going to edit that again because I'm not in it. Okay, hi, I'm Michel Labrèche, author of The Wizard of Oz 2, or The Sole Purpose. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I have this book here now that is in English, and it's a translation of Les Pouvoirs de la Magicienne. And the book is out, and the first one is free and will be sent to anybody who asks for it. And basically you have to pay postage, and that's it. And this is like a business card for me because it holds like the table of contents and the first chapter of why did I write this book and the glossary. Now, of course, The Wizard of Oz 2, or The Sole Purpose, is a play on word with The Wizard of Oz. And the sole purpose can be the sole of the shoe. It can be the sole purpose being the only purpose, and it could be the purpose of the soul. So then again, this book is now available in French and in Spanish, and there will be about 20 other languages. And I will make sure that this consciousness that is included in that book is being forwarded everywhere on earth. Now, over the years, I have studied, I have analyzed, I have experienced, I have realized a lot of stuff. And since it's really, really important, well, I have to share with the viewers. So basically, I'm doing those time capsule, which will be available on my internet site, my website, and it's wizardofoz.com. Now, of course, this one is the Spanish translation, El Mágico de Hoy. Okay, so El Mágico de Hoy means the wizard of today, and it's a play on word with El Mágico de Oz. So Oz and Oi, and in Portuguese it's OJ and Oz, and in Italian it's OG and Oz. So it's all a play on words saying that today we have an inner wizard that is awaiting to be summoned up and to be set free. Now, in order to do this, you must understand life at a higher level, and you must understand your purpose, your programmation, your karma, and what the hell are we doing here, down here on earth, and where do we come from, and where are we going? So basically, people try to know themselves, and people try to assert in their mind what is the goal of evolution. And of course, the goal of evolution is that throughout experience, people will evolve. And evolution helped mankind, humanity, to from the caveman era to actual era, to grow and to accumulate consciousness in a way that is now known as knowledge. And the known knowledge, because we have the help of our memory, can be stacked together and put up in very big database. Nowadays, the database are being summarized into computers, and the supercomputer can operate and do a very, very fast operation of multiple tasks at the same time. Now, the thing is this, is that basically the game plan I have is to simply write my book in the first 3 languages, which is French, English, and Spanish, and have all the material available on the website. Now, of course, the book will have the counterpart in electronic books, and will have like a CD audio or USB key, or basically people will be able to stream and link on the website and hear any conference that I will give. Now, of course, if the tone of my voice and the debit I have makes it that it's accurate, it meets a need, and people say, well, I think that this person is speaking the right languages, in the sense that he holds a key to our consciousness. Well, at that time, then my thing will be a success, and then I will do conferences and workshops and maybe cruises, and we'll all try to discover life at a greater span, and it will be for the benefit of everybody. Now, of course, the three basic principles in life are intelligence, love, and will. Now, the intelligence purpose comes from the center of the universe, where is the source, where people say that God resides. Basically, the multiple siding, the multiple aspect of God makes it that over the earth, all around the earth, people are saying, well, I have the truth, and my God is Yahweh, Allah, whatever name you can call him. And the thing is this, is that there's only one reality, and then there are multiple truths. And the multiple truths comes from the subjective way of people perceiving nature and our surrounding. So basically, in our environment, what happens is that people have their own experience, and they analyze this through their own view, and they develop a model corresponding to their inner self. Now, of course, in reality, if you fly over all the clouds, there's only one sun. Well, this is for Earth. Now, the thing is this, is that basically, if you are being in contact, and if you are being linked to that universe energy, when it comes into your mind, then it becomes what we call a clear communication between the ego here on Earth and the multiple dimension of human being on a higher plane. Now, when you don't have that loud and clear, you have what we call thoughts. The thought process is something that is very, very unknown to mankind, and it's something that has been always veiled to himself, and it's part of the mysteries. Now, of course, the thought process, everybody thinks in their mind that they're being thinking for themselves. And while they do this, what happens really is that when there's communication between ego and his own mind in his own brain space, what happens is that the brain acts as an interface, and is picking up like thoughts coming from a cloud, like a big iCloud that is around Earth, and this is called the astral plane. And the astral plane is full of entities, disembodied entities, dead person, and thought forms, and this is polluting our mind to that effect that a lot of people think that the thoughts are their own. But technically what happens is that the thoughts are being telecharged in our brain space by entities who use the decoy of using your own voice when they talk to you. So of course, if in your mind somebody would address to you from the invisible realm and would talk to you and say, listen, I am an entity and I'm asking you to do this, you'd probably contest it and maybe confront it, and maybe you will not execute the plan as received in your mind. But of course, if in your mind you hear a voice with the tone of your voice saying you have to do this, technically you're so surprised that it's yourself that is saying that basically normally you would listen to yourself. And if you listen to yourself, then basically you're being trapped, you're being confused, you're being used, you're being manipulated, interfered with, all those things. So basically, when you're linked to the source, anything that is intelligent will happen in your mind, and anything that is not intelligent will come from another dimension, which is a sub-dimension of the total intelligence, and it's a lower plane, and then this becomes your rationalism, becomes your intellect, and your thought pattern. So basically, those are not as evolved as a pure communication between your as ego and yourself being centered in the center of the universe. So when this energy descends upon mankind, then it reaches the soul state. And when it is in your soul, basically you are being experienced with an array of emotion. And all the emotion that you will undergo are emotions that are linked to let's say doubt, fear, jealousy, envy, all those kind of emotion. And those state of behavior that you are adopting builds an energy loss that is undergone by your soul. And basically, when your soul is like depleted of its energy, you die, and then you have to go back. You're disassembled, energetically speaking. Your body, ashes to ashes, goes back to earth, and your vital body goes back to the etheric body of the surrounding the earth, and your astral body, which is your soul, goes back to the plane of the soul, and then you have to assimilate. You have to integrate all your experience, and at one point you have to understand what you did on life, and what were your good shot and what were your bad shot. And whatever good you did is because you listened to yourself, your goodness, and the righteousness of your spirit. And when you were badly influenced, then you did some bad things and bad choice. And because of the bad choice resulting from the influences, then you have attract to yourself like some karma. And if you have done negative deed that made suffering or made something bad or wrong, the thing is that you create kind of an energetic bond between your soul and the next person's soul, and those souls are being like in the same condition, energetically speaking wise, and basically are attracted to one another. So whatever deeds you did in this life will have repercussion in the next one, and in the meanwhile you'll be in the astral plane, and you'll have to digest this technically very slowly. If you live, let's say, 80 years on the physical plane, you probably will take at least 80 to 100 years to assimilate this and to understand whatever has happened to you when you were living. And of course, this experiencing a lot of stuff is creating suffering. And through suffering, the soul learns and can auto-correct itself. And when it's auto-correcting, then through the participation of reincarnation, with a long process, what happens is that the soul is getting able to connect with more and more intelligence. And the more it is intelligence, the better a life plan she has. And the better the flow, the soul has a life plan, then the programmation becomes really easy. And in the next time nearby life, you'll be able to experience like total connection with the intelligence of the spirit, with the power of the energy of love, and in the physical body through all your chakra, being like your third eye, and being like your throat, and then being like your heart, and then the solar plexus, and then like the lower ones. Basically, you'll be able to convert energy and have it like bring to destiny to each of your cell of your physical body. And when you do this, then the energy will only radiate from an invisible point to a physical point in your physical body, and then it will elevate your frequency of your radiation rate. And what it will done, it will be simply making you vibrate more and more. And at one point, like if you put water to a pan with water, if you put power to there, then the heat will transfer to the molecules of the water, and at one point it will bear so much energy that at one point it will vibrate so rapidly that it will break away from the liquid state and will become gases. And when it becomes gases, then we say that there's a change of state. And basically it means that the water has accumulated so much energy that, of course, vapors is very hot. Why? Because it's the temperature of the gas. There's a formula that exists. It says the pressure times the volumes equals the number of molecules times temperature and times a certain constant. So basically what it does, it only says that in any chemical reaction, nothing is gained, nothing is lost, everything is transformed and transmuted. So basically, if we are like the water, it means that if we accumulate enough energy, we will be able to change a state. And instead of going through the reincarnation circle and cycle, you'll be able to break away and go from physic state to psychic state. So it's like if the water at some point, you know what we call sublimation. In French, it's the fact to go from a solid state to a gaseous state, and we are bypassing the liquid state. So if you have carbonic ice that is used often in like shows, rock star shows. They want to make like if there is any clouds of energy, so they just put like carbonic ice at the temperature of the room, and it goes from solid like a rock and then to gas, but it doesn't go through the liquid state, and then it just kind of evaporates in the thin air. So basically we'll be able to do this. So we'll be able to bypass the astral plane by dying and going to the etheric plane without having to go with this reincarnation cycle. So this is really important to understand. So the thing is this, is that when we're going to be doing this, we're going to be really going further and creating a new civilization based on partaking, based on sharing and love. Because basically love is being experienced at the emotional state, and love is not emotional. It can take emotional dimension if you don't have like total intelligence. But what happens is that the intelligence will nourish you, and basically it takes a lot of spirit in order to be able to love. Because if you have love without intelligence, you'll be like you'll be manipulated, you'll be controlled, and contained into a grasp of something that is maintaining a hold on you. And you must not be controlled by love, but you must only experience love at a higher level, that your full body, mind and soul, your total intelligence is radiating a pure ray of energy, and that ray of energy is feeding you as long as it's feeding other people, and it's descending upon your physical body, and it will be even able to transform your physical body, and your myelin sheath will be more thicker and will be able to experience more electricity in your body, because the body actually is very, very chemical, and all the endorphins and everything, the corticosteroid, everything that you undergo when you run the marathon, and then you have like a very high state of high because your body is secreting some enzyme and some hormones in your body. So basically the body actually has a lot of chemical reaction, but when it will be more evolved, it will have more physiological and electrical stimulation, and thus the myelin sheath in this body cell must be like more thick in order to be able to absorb more electrification of its pathways. So the thing is this, I'm doing those capsules, and what I'm doing as the time goes by, I'm doing like a movie right now, like Michael Moore, like Al Gore, like Foster Gamble, like Jacques Fresco, all those guys who make movie about passion, about things that they understand, and things that they want to disclose and expose. They want to have an exposure to the world. If you don't eat right, if you have too many guns regulation, and you have too many things in your life, then violence will occur. And if we're not conscious enough, we'll be doomed ourselves, because the pollution we're creating will do that the polar caps will technically melt, and then the rays of the water of the sea will do that New York and Miami and California might disappear. And because of that, within 20 years, we're going to experience a lot of confrontation with the media and with people who are, trying to expose this, like Greenpeace for the animals kingdom, and David Suzuki for the wildlife and stuff like that. So to be frank, basically what I'm saying is that a lot of things will happen, and consciousness is not for everybody. A lot of people will see me and just turn the channel and say this is not for me, and others will say I've looked all my life for something that is very continuous, in a framework where intelligence and creativity is like put forward. So basically this is what I'm trying to do, and I know that my English is not excellent, but it's still tolerable by people who will understand what I really want to say. And basically my work is going to be translated, and then the movie I'm doing is like the platform I'm using in order to be able to have a great soundtrack, and to have a great editing and realization of the movie by producers and stuff like that. If you have nice contents, it doesn't require like an Hollywood budget in order to do this. You can be privately owned and do your stuff, but if you have contents, and you can be a bullseye and hit right on the dot. And if you do this, basically people will listen, and people will be drawn and not magnify or magnetize, sorry, but they will be drawn to that attraction rod that will be in place and that will be attracting whoever wants to be himself participating into the creation of a new evolved civilization. So the consciousness I'm talking to you about has nothing to do with the New Age, which is a movement that is almost like a sect, saying that mysticism and esoterical people and occultist people, they all have their agenda. But those agenda are one part of the thing. It's like the tip of the iceberg. So when you are complete as a human being and a human woman, basically you are complete. So you have field of interest for medicine, for art, for science, for politics, for sport, anything but through the creativity of the mind. And if you are in that agenda, well, you will be one day be in contact with me, because I will be making my mandate that I will display and dispense all the necessary needs and energy required in order to attain this goal. One of my friends said that this is a guy that says that there is the $10,000 10,000-hour criteria, and if you do anything, play violins, or if you write a story, or if you do cooking and you do 10,000 hours, of course you will have to succeed and have great success, because you've been determined and you have put perseverance and you have put so many hours there that at one point you must acknowledge and you must be like the elite of whatever you're doing. So I've been at it for 15,000 hours right now. I counted all my hours, all my experience since I'm 5 years old, and I up to there the first writing of the book in French and the first writing of the book in English, plus this book. So basically the movie is about consciousness, and I will be interrogating about 50%, and all those 50% or 60% will talk for an hour and a half in French and in English, and I'll do a movie and then a series. And if I take, a citation of somebody and I take an excerpt of his dialogue with me, his interview, and the best 2 minutes of a 1 hour interview, the person could be talking about anything but won't be able to be confronted with, because he will be talking to authority of whatever lights him up, whether it's a passion or is it ability that he has, or capacity or an understanding. And basically when you have all this put together, I'll do a movie, and the movie will redirect consciousness to another point. And the point is that we have, like the phoenix, we have to be born again from our own ashes. And what does it mean is that technically you can do a movie and have a spiritual conclusion, like Foster Gamble has. He says if we all hold hands, we are much more, 100 times more than the one that are controlling us, and basically we will be able to overthrow whatever is manipulating us. And I think this is a bit naive in a way, that because of that, it's never going to be happening this way, because there's too much at stake, and money wise, and whoever controls the money controls everything. So basically the people holding the powers won't be able to share it, or won't want to give it away. So basically, if you have another way in an environment conclusion of Al Gore, I don't know what's his conclusion, but I know that this movie is really well done. And what he's saying is that if we don't act right now, and it's only not only the Kyoto Accord, it's something else, the protocol is something else, that we have as a group, the earth as one body must refuse to continue the pollution that we are going. And all the major companies sometimes say we meet the standard or we don't meet the standard, and then we get fined, and it's a couple of $1 million, but who cares, because they have billions. So the thing is this, is that we can't continue to pollute the sea, the oceans, and then the earth, and the air we're breathing, and the chemicals we put into the food and stuff like that, without having to live and undergo like repercussion of that unconsciousness. So basically what has to be done is that there must be a purification of anybody that are not into a thought wave, which are really pure and creative and conscious. And basically what it does mean that is that Earth itself as an entity will probably react to whatever unconsciousness of mankind has done. And in a glimpse, in a period of maybe 2-3 weeks, within a very short delay of maybe 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years, I don't know, but there will be a major event on Earth by the hand of mankind, or by the nature itself, what we call Mother Nature, that would be a reaction to whatever interfering mankind did with Earth itself. And by doing so, the persons that will be free from this global karma would be person that would be at the good time, at the good spot, and that would be in inner sync with themselves and with the Earth itself. And because of that, they will be at the right place, and they will not suffer as much as all the other person of the events. Of course, the event that would unravel will be for everybody. And if they are for everybody, it means that the intelligent one and the wise one, but more intelligent, will know what to do, when to do, and how to do it, and will arrange for themselves to be independent into water supply, into food supply, energy supply, and they will be, shedded from the exterior of the global catastrophe that will be hitting us like a tsunami. And it might not be by water, it might be by fire, it might be by electromagnetic wave, it could be by eruption, or like when volcano blows up and we have all the lava and everything. So it could be an outbreak with genetic manipulation that we do with when we H1N1 is the virus, and we play around with this, and then there's a mutation, and if the body does not recognize a mutated agent like a virus or a bacteria, then we could simply die of exhausting after having catch a flu or something as ridiculous as that. So basically, it's really important to know that the principle of consciousness makes it that we have to be aware of the nearby future change at the horizon. And this change, nobody can foresee it for an exact date, because it will never be given as an information from the invisible realm to us. And even though people are, walking around in the street of New York with a big sign saying the end is near, you know what? One day, one of that person will be right, because the end will be like the day after. And unless the movie, otherwise than the movie The Day After and The Day After Tomorrow, which are movies that tends to pretend that there will be a nuclear holocaust, or we'll have like a problem with the temperature and cyclones and tropical storm and stuff like that. The important is not how it will hit us, is what would hit us, and what will be our response, in a sense that how will the physical body react to like global warming, or will react to a high level of radiation if there's a problem with like Fukuyama in Japan. So when all those things happen together, it depends where you are, how you will live that, and what will be your connection with yourself. And then you'll have the urge or the intuition of saying, well, let's go over there and let's do this and let's contact that person. And birds of a feather flock together. Well, it will means that people that will radiate the same energy wavelength will be trying to associate themselves together, and will probably be picked up by other energies alive in the cosmos, who are living in a different time-space continuum, and that will be around here to pick up whatever is left of the old society that will have gone AWOL and will have gone down the drain. Now, if this happens, of course, your only sureness, your only reality is the connection with yourself and within yourself, and to know how to set your wizard free and become the wizard of you instead of the wizard of us. And if you do how to do this, well, basically you will experience a threshold of going through the dying, the death of the actual society, and the birth of a new one that will be growing over the old one in a very, very different way, because it will not be projection with the past, and it will not be the continuation of something that has already been set, but will be the continuation of something that has been planted like seeds of light in the mind of some very rare, seldom people, and those people will be bearing intelligence. And if the next society is composed of 80 million people instead of 8 billion people, well, even if the rate is 1% or 5%, there will be much less people on Earth, and we'll be able to beneficiate from the best of all the tradition, all the positive one, and we will not be undermined by all the negative aspect of any tradition who would be like manipulating or imposing its status over an individual. So we will see great things, and the science we will have will not come from people working in laboratories of regular nature. It will be by people who will have the incentive of connecting with themselves and with other race of other dimension that will transfer their knowledge to us, and human being will captate this and will raise their level of consciousness really rapidly, and to the end it will mean a descending of new technologies for liberation of the mind of the human body. And it's not only what we call progression of science as we know it, and having a new intelligent phone, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 10, or the software, Windows 14 or 15, because all those are part of a certain agenda of invisible forces wanting to interfere and manipulating us. And all those technologies come with a price, and the price is that the more we're attached to it, the more we are free, but the more we are limited, because without them we can't function anymore. So basically, instead of working with machines, you should be working with your intuition and your inner self, and be able to tapping in your own energy and focusing. And if you do this, you'll be able to have the power of the word. And the power of the word is what? Is only the ability for you to connect with this intelligence energy that when it's going through you, take a form, is verbalized, is modulated, is amplified, and at the same time is funneled and channeled, and at the same time it becomes like a laser beam of intelligence, a ray of energy that can focus and that can becomes very precise. And at one point, whatever you are generating in your body will be simply the totality of your awareness that has been concrete, that has been densified into matter. And to that matter, now I will introduce a book that I've read that you probably are not aware. And the book is written by a French doctor that used to be a doctor, and it's Jean Rat, and so John Rate, and it's Cellular Man, L'Homme Cellular. And in that book, this genius explained that there's a very big similarity with the human here and the fetus when he's 3 months old. And of course, so I have a diagram here that you will see on the camera. And of course, if you see here, you have the embryo, and then you have the ear. And the ear and the embryo is totally similar. So what does it says to that man? It says that it's a perception. Those are graphics that are known internationally. If you see a